the fact that there are racial wealth gaps, we ignore an important root cause of other societal gaps, such as racial achievement gaps, income gaps, health gaps, etc. Barriers to access to wealth and opportunity are not just in our past, they're ongoing. Today, they may take the form of exclusionary zoning policies, for example. If you want to exclude Black families from a neighborhood today, you don't have to engage in blatant discrimination. You can instead pass a local zoning ordinance that requires all residential plots to be at least 1.5 acres or to be single family dwellings. This has the effect of pricing many Black families out of these neighborhoods because they don't have the wealth endowment necessary to afford properties carrying those restrictions. In a sense, these types of zoning laws then are a way of capitalizing on the results of past racial discrimination in a seemingly race-blind way. In their book, From Here to Equality, William Darity and Kirsten Mullen argue that enduring harms of slavery and ongoing post-emancipation discrimination can be captured in and quantified by current racial wealth gaps. The intergenerational transmission of wealth makes relevant today the historic wealth differentials present at the time of emancipation, providing a direct link from the economic injustices of slavery to the economic disparities of today. The financial and insurance institutions that benefited from those injustices should have to reckon with the economic disparities of today. I thank you for the opportunity to discuss the enduring legacy of harm from slavery and the role of financial institutions.
Do you believe that the current inflation rate is exacerbating the racial wealth gap?
I certainly think that the current inflation rate, as you suggested, has a disproportionate impact on low-income families and particularly Black and Latino families as well. But I don't think there's a significant relationship to the racial wealth gap. The racial wealth gap is primarily driven by the intergenerational transfers of resources that are disproportionately held by white Americans in comparison with, say, Black Americans. Dr. Francis talked about that in some detail in her remarks. I think that the inflation has an adverse effect on people's capacity to save, but personal savings is not the primary factor that drives people's wealth accumulation. It's what you get from your parents and your grandparents that is really decisive in terms of determining your wealth position, and that has been racially disparate in the United States for multiple generations.
Well, let me